This is always one of those very popular shows.
It is, it is.
But the interesting thing is that every time I do the show, BJ, one of the things I wanted you to explain is that, and we're not making light of this, but a lot of times people think that sometimes when an instrument has been left in them, that's cause for medical malpractice. And what I've learned from doing the show the last couple of years is that's not it, because it has to have caused not great pain, I'm thinking of the word.
Some pain, some damage. Right.
Damage.
Right,
So
yes. Yeah, you can have something left in you that's not supposed to be there. That is a cause of action.
Right.
You certainly should contact an attorney to look into it. But most of the time it is going to cause damage. But sometimes, they'll notice it right after they've wheeled you out of the operating room, and they'll see it and take it right back out. You're still under sedation, and you really don't have any damages to speak of. But then again, we've handled cases where people have been let out, have bad infections, and go on life support, almost die. So if you have it, something left in you or a loved one, you certainly should contact an attorney, because there's probably something there.
And it's a lot more intricate, Virgil, what I've also learned in cases like this, because it ends up being a panel of people that really go into these types of cases. You've got doctors and nurses that are, giving lots of depositions. It's not something that happens overnight when you handle these kinds of cases.
No, not at all. It's not like a car wreck case where you basically got one or two witnesses and you got an accident report and it pretty much tells you what you need. But with medical negligence cases, you first of all have to get an expert and get an affidavit from another expert who practices in the same field, or at least teaches in the same field, that the doctor or whatever who's allegedly committed malpractice practices in. So you've got to get the affidavit first, and then you've got depositions, as you say, and just a lot of work. So these are really complex cases. So that's why we have to screen them real carefully. And a lot of them, there may be a case out there, but you have to look at a lot of factors that you have to weigh before you can determine, is this a case that we really need to file? Would
you be able to speak on some of those factors, Virgil? I mean, I know every case is different, but...
Well, one thing you have to look at is just the amount of damages. How bad was the person hurt? What did they go through? And the cost. Cost actually plays a lot in it as well. If you value a case, and let's say it's a case that you value based on your experience at, let's say, $25,000, well, you're going to wind up spending a lot more than $25,000 because whether it's a large case or small case, you still have to do the same thing. You've got to get the experts. You got to get the affidavits, you got to take depositions, you have to pay the doctors, pay the experts. So if you're going to wind up spending 100 to get 25, then that's a case that is just really not cost effective.
And it's difficult to explain to a client, but it's one of our duties when you meet with a client. They might have a good case from a liability standpoint. Like you say, something might have been left inside them during surgery, but it's not a good idea for them to spend, or us to tell them to spend $50,000 on the hopes of getting $100,000.
Right.
So that's part of our job too.
Opinions expressed on Law Call are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of 13 WMAZ staff or management, nor any legal or judicial entity. The legal information supplied in this broadcast is general information only and is not intended to be legal advice for any given situation. Do not rely on broadcast information without consulting an attorney. Contingent attorney's fees refers only to those fees charged by the attorneys for legal services. Such fees are not permitted in all types of cases. Court costs and other additional expenses of legal action usually must be paid by the client.